No, once you're done marking, you're like, you forget these things also, you know. Choo, 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 choo. Okay, how are you guys doing? It feels like forever since I've seen you guys. Actually, I'm not so sure where we last ended off, but I believe we were finishing off learning unit 3. I don't think we did discovery systems. I think we did all of the others except for discovery systems. So today I want us to just do one thing. Has everybody done their eyes tasks? Everybody. Guys, I want to make sure that we get that done because after today I'm closing it up, literally, and I don't want people coming back to me because I have a lot of eyes tasks to submit for a lot of different groups. So I've reopened that. And what we're then going to do in the second session, I want you guys to, if you've done it, good for you, and that's some extra time on your hands. But for the rest of you, then please make sure that you've done those ICE tasks. You have your 10%. Okay, I don't want to be second guessing with my students have that 10% or not. We need to make sure. We need to make sure. So I need you guys to do that for me. And then just remind me before we go into the break to just speak a little bit about just one thing, one key thing I want to discuss just in terms of the assignment. There was one thing that I think we need to address. Nothing serious, just in terms of assignment 2, just to make sure that we don't make that mistake again. Okay, cool. Just remind me as soon as we are done with this here. Right, so let's just put this in PowerPoint. Why? There we go. Finally. Okay, we're in business. Okay. All right, Kate, happy to have you here. How are you? Good, 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 good. Yes. So where was I? So like I said, we're just finishing off learning unit 3 today. Guys, another thing I want to mention, and I think it's best probably mention it now. I know, especially as how pressed you are for time, how, yeah, with this being your last semester, there's a lot of pressure. So all along, we've obviously been taking our time with the different learning units, isn't it? But now I want us to actually push learning unit 4 and learning unit 5 next week. We'll see how much content is there. I need to go back and look at the slides to double check. But if not next week, the week after that, we will definitely be done. Okay. So then the remaining sessions will be consultation sessions. I'll obviously be here on campus. If you need to see me, we can look at or address any questions you may have regarding the module. Does that make sense? Okay. Right. And then just remind me, I meant to do this before we started, but I was just engaging with one or two gentlemen. And in the break, I need to go to the assessment center and then just clarify that issue in terms of the exam. what you are allowed to walk in with during the exam. Okay, we need to communicate that. We need to know that now before we get there. Okay. Right. So, to the content for the day, knowledge discovery systems. Okay. Here, the learning outcome number 6 is use systems and technologies to discover, capture, share, and apply knowledge. Okay? And apply knowledge. I think of all the systems, this is probably my favorite one. Okay? Because the other ones, they typically focus on getting the knowledge, storing the knowledge, and stuff like that. But here now we're also looking at discovery. Okay? Sometimes we have knowledge, and then when we sit down and discuss it, we actually begin to discover that, wow, there's actually some knowledge that we have amongst us. Okay? And we start to make it contextual because we start to apply it to our day-to-day jobs. So it is automatically relevant. Okay? But anyway, before I get carried away. So here we're talking about systems that create knowledge. How is knowledge discovered? All right, or created? All right, you've got two ways. All right, synthesis of new knowledge. Okay, and then discovery by finding patterns in observations, explicit data. All right. Remember, we have been speaking about tacit and explicit data. We know that tacit is the one that we don't have it formally written down, whereas explicit is it's on documentation, or it can be put on documentation if it isn't already. Okay. So knowledge discovery systems support the development of new tacit or explicit knowledge from the data and information from the synthesis of prior knowledge. Okay, so socialization, okay, facilitates the synthesis of tacit knowledge across individuals and integration of multiple streams from creation of new knowledge. All right, this is obviously done through joint activities. When we go into team building and we start to discuss, our departmental problems and how we can improve such things, right? We're exchanging knowledge. All right, we're discovering knowledge. Oh, that's how you do it in your space. Oh, this is how we're doing it. But I can see how that's more effective than how we've been doing it. Can you see that? There's the exchange of knowledge, there's the discovery of knowledge, all at the same time. Then combination, multiple bodies of explicit knowledge are synthesized to create new explicit knowledge. So this is now the exchanging of notes. Because remember we said explicit knowledge is stuff that can be documented if it isn't already documented. All right. Then existing explicit knowledge may be recontextualized knowledge. Okay. So now certain things that may have appeared irrelevant to you, when you now hear him talk about it and how it aids him in his work process, it obviously then begins to recontextualize that particular piece of knowledge. Okay, so here, now they're talking about mechanisms to discover knowledge using socialization. Okay, so socialization, we already spoke to what that is. It's the synthesis of tacit knowledge across individuals. All right, through joint activities. Okay. Enables discovery of fresh knowledge. Okay, that you already know. Brainstorming. Okay, when we brainstorm with customers, when we also engage with facilitators and innovators, all right, that obviously is a mechanism for discovery of knowledge through using socialization. All right, and through that brainstorming, here they say brainstorming process addresses two aspects of problem solving and decision making. Okay, how? By identifying the real problem. Okay, and this is why I love this section, because this is also one of those that you can actually see just by all of us discussing. We can actually see how we are discovering knowledge. Okay. we were to have a moment to say, what are the problems, or the challenges, should I say, rather, of being a third-year student? Okay? And we begin to list them, right? And we begin to brainstorm around those challenges. It won't be long before we start to also then discuss the solutions. And can you see? Immediately we're exchanging knowledge. Okay? We're discovering knowledge. All right? We're discovering different means and ways of obviously dealing with those challenges. Okay. Lateral thinking. Using different approaches. I think we've pretty much spoken to this already. Okay. Right. So then here now, they now speak on the technologies. Now, one of the things I think you guys have already begun to pick up is that throughout your study of this lovely module, this beautiful module that I know we all love and appreciate, because it's so different from anything else we've done, they're always talking mechanisms and technologies. So here, no different. Okay, technologies to discover knowledge, using data mining to create new explicit knowledge. Currently, every industry, every business is focused on this data mining. Okay, why is every business interested in data at this particular point in time? Why is everybody so interested in data to the point where Apple is saying we have more security than Android devices because we allow you to block applications from utilizing your data without your permission, and everybody is slowly transitioning into that space as well. Why do they prevent advertising from taking place unless you have permitted it? Which is one of the reasons they have some issues with Facebook. Because Facebook, that's their money, advertising. So you now say, we are not going to allow you to have the data of our customers. They can now not tailor the adverts to the target audience because they don't know if he is part of the target audience. Does that make sense? Because we don't have his data. We can't tell whether he is a young black male in Gauteng. Does that make sense? So any products that would be of interest to this gentleman, guess what? We wouldn't know because we don't know what target audience they're calling. We don't know their demographics. Does that make sense? So why is everybody interested in data? What just happened? What just happened? You think I just explained it? I don't think I explained it. Advertising. Guys, are we talking about my subject here? Yeah, so you're ready to explain after him, ne? Thank you very much. Yes.
It's not just like our people, I guess they from different sources. They just want to be competitive and they want to like other advertising and marketing in the 21st century. They have to be more involved with your consumers.
Be more involved with your consumers. I like it. So outside of advertising, let's step away from advertising for a second. Why else is data mining important? There's a whole podcast happening here. Tell us, we want to know, why else would data be important outside of advertising? Discovering new information, identifying trends, isn't it? You raise your hand. You want to say the same thing, okay? Also, identifying threats, very closely related. You might just be saying the same thing in a different way. Identifying threats, identifying opportunities. All right? That's why we want to know trends. We want to be able to have foresight about certain things. Okay, so here now, they're just now giving us now the theory. So knowledge discovery in databases, okay? process of finding and interpreting patterns from data involving algorithms to interpret patterns, okay? Yeah, with this module, we've been talking about algorithms and things like that. But an algorithm is basically, it's a function that computer scientists apply in order to solve a problem. The problem can literally be anything. I know a lot of people, you hear them saying the algorithm, referring to YouTube or Facebook or any of these social media platforms. Okay? And algorithm is literally a function, usually a mathematical function, that then solves for a problem. Okay, right. So, in this case, we are obviously using an algorithm, we're using a function to identify patterns. Okay? But that's not possible if there's no data, there's no information to feed. You know, data is unprocessed information. This we know. We did this together. Okay? So if there's no input, then obviously we can't interpret anything. Does that make sense? Okay. Anyway, data mining, all right, is another word for knowledge discovery in databases. Okay? Data mining techniques have been applied across business problems. We're speaking about advertising. We all know that advertising and marketing is very closely related. I think you guys would know more than me that they're not exactly the same thing, okay? But yes, they're very closely related. So obviously in a marketing context, data mining is utilized. Retail, okay? Sales forecasts. Sometimes it's not about like identifying your customer base, but pulling the data in terms of previous years. What have we done in terms of sales? And then saying, okay, so based on our December period, in the past 4 years, this is the type of sales that we've had. So with December coming up, this is the amount of sales that we can anticipate. Okay? So that's what they're talking to it. Helps uncover which products are likely to be purchased together. Okay? Right. If somebody is buying shampoo, what else are they likely to buy? Conditioner. Okay? Those are the basic things that, you know. All right. Anyway, we get the point. Banking. All right. Trading and financial forecasting. Identifying credit risk and fraud. Okay, so you can see there's so many spaces in which data can be used. Okay, even just within that space alone. Insurance, segmenting customer groups to determine premium pricing and predict claim frequency. How do insurance companies make money? They're scammers. How do they scam us?
They ask for monthly payments.
Monthly payments called premiums.
And then when you're in an accident or you need something to fix in the car, they say pay access.
Yes.
And the access is the same amount as like paying the thing that you want to fix. So basically, you just pay to fix your car. On top, you will pay per month.
Who are you insured with? You want to be with those people?
My way.
I didn't. Yo, we're recording. I didn't want you to actually say the name. Okay, anyway, but right. I'm not going to say yay or nay to Kate's explanation, but how insurance companies make money? Yes, it is off your premiums. But these guys, remember, they assess risk, they analyze. Okay, we have males within this age group. Okay, we have females within this age group. Males are more risky because they like doing crazy things. Bungee jumping, all this, you know, doing donuts with cars and all that kind of. The list is endless, okay? So, that is why males will pay more because they are more likely to claim for something. Does that make sense? Whereas with the ladies, they'll be like, okay, these guys are more sensible human beings, right? So, guess what? Their premiums are going to be lower. They are going to claim less, right? And obviously, they account for that to say, how many claims do you think we get in a month? We get 10, but we have 100 people that are paying premiums. we can take on that risk of when an accident does come, whatever the payout might be, because we know we have 100 people who are actually contributing. Does that make sense? So that's how they do these analysis. Oh, you are 60. You're too old to be doing anything crazy. So as a result, we will reduce your premium because you're unlikely to claim anyway. Okay. So anyway, that's how they make money. Right? I'm looking at Kate intentionally. And then telecommunications, all right? Reduce churn. What do we mean when we say reduce churn? And then returning customers, market basket analysis. Yeah, it looks like churn, but it's churn.
So the list is
Yeah. What is reducing churn? Guys, Google, ChatGPT, and Allah. So many laptops today. So many laptops today. What are we talking about when we say churn? Reducing churn. And we're particularly talking about in a customer, from a customer relations perspective. Okay. Operations management. Yes?
It's the measure of how many customers stop using a product.
Okay. All right. So us losing customers.
Yes, it's measured based on actual usage or failure to renew.
Mm-hmm.
And often evaluated for a specific period of time, which can be monthly, quarterly, or annually.
Yes. Okay. So you see, we want to by all means reduce churn. We don't want to lose customers. We've worked hard to get the sale. It's easier to sell to a recurring customer than to get a new one. So every business that is serious about existing in the long term wants to reduce churn. Okay? So, yeah. Operations management. We use data to plan and schedule. How many customers do we have as Varsity College? How many third years do we have? How many of them are doing this module, that module? Okay. So we can create only one group because there are not so many students. Oh, you know what? We've got a very large group. We need to split them into two groups. That means we need to go and get 2 lectures. Can you see how all this data is being pulled in to obviously assist us in this particular space? Okay. Anyway, let's move on. I'm sure we get the point. Okay, so here, these are just nice points in the slide that you can use to say what is important, okay? Because we do know that this module can be a bit of a information overload, isn't it? Okay, so use this when you see it in the slides just to say, okay, what are the things that I definitely need to know? All right, designing the knowledge discovery system, all right? Cross-industry standard process of for data mining. Okay, so this is more of an introductory slide to what's about to come. Okay. Developed an industry neutral and tool neutral process for data mining. So that's all it is. It's saying we've created a process for data mining that can be used by any industry out there. All right. So here we go. This is it. These are your steps, okay? So 6 basic steps of data mining for knowledge discovery. Number 1, understand the business. Why do we need to understand the business before we go and search for data? And the points are right there. You can read off the screen. You're saying sorry. Why do we have to understand the business before we start? Not all the data is relevant. The relevancy will depend on the business and the problem that we are solving for that particular business. So here you can see they say understand the business problem. Okay, obtain the highest benefit from data mining. Clear statement on business objectives. Once you understand the objectives of what we are trying to do, whether it's the overall business or whether it's just a specific issue we're trying to deal with within the business. Once you understand that, then we know, okay, this is the current situation, and this is how we solve for the current situation. All right? Then data understanding, okay? We need to collect our data. We need to describe our data. All right? Then we need to establish the quality of our data and verify it. If we have data that is incorrect, we're obviously going to have decisions that are poor and that do not solve the problem because our data isn't what it should be. Okay? And then exploratory analysis of data. Okay, yeah, so that again, we're just really focusing on our data and ensuring that it is what we need to obviously solve the problem. But then now we need to prepare our data, okay? We might not use all the data, so you guys did statistics most. Yes, good stuff. So in statistics, you know that we don't use the whole population. We often use a sample of the population. Because if we try to use all the data of the population, it becomes a very expensive and time-consuming exercise. So here now, that's why we need to prepare our data to say, which then are we going to select from our population? Isn't it? Okay, and then construction and transformation of variables. Okay, again, this is considering what are we trying to solve for. So we need to construct also the techniques. What method are we going to use and stuff like that. I'm transitioning over to step number 4, model building and validation. Okay, data integration, formatting. Okay, sometimes when you are, for instance, when I'm trying to give your marks, hand in your marks, and I pull the report from after having submitted on BC Learn, and I download the marks. It obviously has your first name, second name, middle name. It also then includes, you know, your student number, application number. A lot of that stuff is irrelevant. All we need is student number and your mark. Does that make sense? So that you can call data preparation, because it's now me filtering and getting rid of the unnecessary information, formatting it in such a way that we have what we need, okay, to solve the problem of what was the student's mark. All right, and then we send it over. Okay, then model building and validation, trial and error process. Okay, so we obviously apply the model and we see has it managed to examine the data. All right, then if so, we move on to step 5. We do an evaluation and interpretation. We then say, okay, what is this now telling us? Okay, predict results compared to actual results. Okay, so here typically, sometimes you don't actually have results, actual results to compare to. Okay, but as you know in statistics, if we can compare with the overall population, we do that just to see. And the closer we are, our predictions are to the actual, the better. Okay? Because then it means that our sample is a good reflection of our population or the total data. Okay. Then deployment, implementing the live model. Okay, once we've made our conclusions, we can then say, okay, this is going to work, this product is going to work. Because all the research, all the data mining that we've done has validated that students actually do appreciate when you do revision and when you post it online, and then they can access it at their own time. Okay, right. So let's move on. Okay, so here now you got a nice image that actually gives you more detail in terms of what we're actually doing at each one of those steps. Okay, I'm sure this is actually in your textbooks.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So just make sure you understand this. Just make sure you understand this. Let's go on. Then here, guidelines for employing data mining techniques, okay? So the first one, the first guideline is we must have the outcome in mind. We must have the outcome in mind. We need to know why are we looking at this data. Before we even start, we need to know what are we trying to solve for. We actually highlight this earlier, okay? So then, what's the outcome that we're trying to achieve? What are we trying to solve for? And then here, the second thing is to include both statistical and non-statistical techniques, okay? Right, some of us whose minds are very numeracy orientated, we always just say, the numbers, show me the numbers, okay? Let's work with the numbers. What is our bottom line? But you find that sometimes there's things that numbers don't tell you. If you see your students are failing, for example, you might be thinking, the automatic assumption is they're struggling with the model. But when you start to investigate, you might find that students are actually not attending classes. Why are students not attending classes? Because they don't like the lecture. Can you see? That's information you never would have gotten from the numbers. So what are we saying? It's best to use both statistical and non-statistical. In other words, both qualitative and quantitative. I know you guys do research because you are, final year students. Big dogs on the campus. Yeah, we see you, man. We see you. Okay. Right. All right. Let's move on. So here, discovering knowledge on the web. And guys, I think we've been doing this since high school. Discovering information via the web. Okay. Now they're just formalizing what we already know. Okay. So businesses can profit from mining the web. Okay. Why is e-business providing a fertile ground for learning? All right. Text mining. Okay. Automatically reading large documents of text written in natural language and being able to derive knowledge from the process. Okay? So, we are now, I don't know what they always say, we moved from the Industrial Revolution to the information what? Or there's the knowledge something where you make money off of information. The Industrial Revolution was around who has the biggest factories, who has the most resources to process stuff, And that's when we had the whole development of cars in mass, and so on. That was the whole Industrial Revolution. Now we've transitioned over to, they're calling it the 4IR. I don't know what that now represents. But anyway, the whole point is that web mining, all right, is web crawling with online text mining. Okay, there's nothing you can't find on the internet. In all honesty, you don't know anything about whatever subject, you can go and Google it. You can get all sorts of information. Now, the tricky part is actually making sure that the information you do get is the best information. Because now, with all this information, you got people like Aubrey who just tend to be experts, but they know, well, let me say they don't know as much as they appear to actually. Okay, all right. So they can actually misguide you, in a sense. And this is why we're also concerned about YouTubers as well. Okay, right. But anyway, let's move on. Okay, web mining techniques. Okay, so you've got linguistic analysis, identifying key concept descriptors in text documents. Okay, then you've got statistical and occurrence analysis, create associations. Okay, and this is when now you start doing things like linear programming. Okay, to see is there a relationship, is there an association. Okay, statistical and neural networks clustering and categorization. Group similar documents together as well as communities. Okay, and then visualization and human computer interfaces. Reveal conceptual associations. Okay, right. I'm just thinking of visualization. It's always nice to see things on a pie chart, on a bar chart, or histogram and stuff like that, because you can immediately see the trend rather than in textual data. Okay, so here now they're just giving us a bunch of web terms. You've got web structure mining, refers to examining how web documents are structured. You've got web usage mining, all right? So here we're talking about clickstream analysis, identification of patterns in user navigation through web pages, all right? It includes 3 main tasks: pre-processing, pattern analysis, and pattern discovery. Then web context mining, used to discover what a web page is about and how to uncover new knowledge from it. Okay, so when you guys delve into this, because obviously your textbook is going to give you more meat, now we're just touching the terms and just contextualizing them for the most part from a high level. You will actually realize you've done a lot of this. You just didn't have terminology for it. Does that make sense? Okay. So now here we're wrapping up. I think this is maybe the second last slide, if not the last. And here we're talking about data mining in connection to what people like to just throw around the term CRM systems. This is that's exactly what it stands for: customer relations management. Okay. So here they're basically databases where we have all our customers on there, and we have everything in relation to that customer on there. The products that he orders, the status of his account, is it up to date? Is it fallen due? What's the story? Okay. They can send messages to the organization. We can also notify them of certain things. We're hosting an event. We, as a thank you, let's say December is coming up, you get a lot of companies who maybe you utilize their products or services, who might be gracious enough to say, you know what, you've been a loyal customer, you've been with us for a while, we'd like to give you these 2 tickets to Cape Town, or to go attend a event there with Chris Brown, and so on and so forth.
Get tickets.
I don't know. For me, I would love to go see Chris Brown or certain acts, but that whole 1,000 people all over the place.
95,000.
And
95,000 people.
I'm not a fan of that. Like, also, you're like, do I drive there? Do I Uber? And if I Uber, how am I going to get an Uber? I'll wait from there. Everybody's going to be ordering them. I don't like that whole idea.
See, certain logistics.
No, it comes and it happens.
What do you mean? You figure it out as you go.
No, exactly.
So don't ask him, like, what time are we leaving to the event?
There's no need to like sweat the small stuff.
No, you know what? For me, it's the amount of people around.
Yeah, that's
really just irritating.
You know the group is not.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going like by yourself or like.
I would never go by myself. I would never do that.
It's just sad. It's like it's supposed to be like 100%.
It's definitely sad. One match.
But it's Christmas.
Too many people.
OG one.
I think the only person.
Wow. You have to pull that up.
No, because remember there was all that stuff now, all the trying to like cancel the
cancel them, they cancel the show. They say,
Yeah.
but there was like a whole petition because of.
Because they don't like this, bro.
Oh, really? There was a petition?
Yeah, they made a whole petition so
Because of that,
because of his history, obviously.
Wow.
But it got shut down. Shut down.
Oh, really?
It got shut down. It got made that morning, that evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sure. Okay. No, but I think for me, the only person I would sell a kidney for, like I would forego any, is probably there. There I would go. No, but Chris Brown,
It's a performance.
is a performer. You're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna enjoy it. But anyway, let me come back to this. Okay, so customer relations management strategy, a way to use technology to give the power to solidify relationships with our best customers. I don't know why they use the term best, because I think it's part of your retention to avoid the churn, to maintain the relationship, okay? But you pretty much like you're offering this to all your customers, okay? And then CRM is the mechanisms and technologies used to manage the interaction between a company and its customers. Pretty much reiterating what I just mentioned. Then integrate the customer's viewpoint across all touch points, respond to customer demands in web time, and then derive more value from customer relations management investments, okay? Then identify customer market segments to earn a profit, all right? Gold nuggets, okay? So in our engagement with them by means of the CRM platform, we start to establish, oh, there seems to be a desire for a certain product or service that we don't yet offer. So can you see that's what they mean now, where we are now starting to identify a customer segment, okay? Then campaign management software, all right? We can also run campaigns, all right? So manage the targeted marketing campaign, manage the planning, execution, assessment, and the refinement of campaigns, manage and monitor a company's communication with its customers, all right? Direct mail, telemarketing, customer service, and then obviously, so you can see all of this because if he's my manager, he can obviously log in and see all the customers that I'm responsible for and begin to see my communication with them. Does that make sense? He can also see how quickly do I respond to their requests. All right? Have I communicated the relevant campaigns? How has my communication been with them? Has it been professional? Or have I been texting these people like we're friends on WhatsApp? You can see all of them. Okay, right. All right. Anyway, but let's proceed. I think you guys are getting the point there. All right. So barriers to the use of knowledge discovery systems. Two barriers that prevent early development. Prior lack of data to support the analysis. Remember I said if we don't have data, there's nothing we can analyze. We need input into whatever technique or methodology we're using to analyze the data in order for us to obviously then have an analysis. And then the limited computing power to perform the calculations required. Okay, like I told you, the algorithms are functions that have been developed, and obviously you're going to have a different algorithm for a different problem that you're trying to solve. Does that make sense? Okay. So the algorithm that you use will be based on the problem you are trying to solve. Okay. But if we have old computers or weak computers, then obviously our ability to obviously perform analysis or to execute certain techniques will also be limited. It's like trying to use a Windows 95 in 2024. Okay, you're going to have challenges. It's kind of also like on our phones. Whenever we have an outdated app an app that needs updating, we find that sometimes we have limited functionality. We're not able to optimize the application as we would want. Okay, I have a friend who just yesterday actually, we're part of a WhatsApp group. We're busy doing an assignment. You guys know I'm also studying. So we're busy doing an assignment, and she couldn't see the text messages on WhatsApp within our group because she needed to update her WhatsApp. Right? So that's an example of you have the application, but you obviously can't utilize the functionality because obviously it needs an update. But anyway, I think I've labeled the point. Then, scaling analysis to large databases, okay? So remember, I mentioned earlier in statistics, we usually analyze a sample because trying to analyze the whole population is quite laborious and time-consuming and can be expensive, okay? So sometimes scaling the analysis to large databases can be a barrier. Scaling to high-dimensional data or models, okay? Right. So here, typically, I think here, so my dad is a geologist. Geologists, does anyone know what a geologist is? I thought I had some on you. I thought I was going to fool you or something. But yeah, that's exactly what they are. Now, because of the high detail that's involved with mapping, he can't just use any ordinary computer. He needs a computer with high specs. Okay. So those high dimensions, depending on the data, obviously with maps, because they use the drones obviously to take pictures of the surface of the earth, and that's how you develop the maps. And that's how your Google Maps actually works. Does it make sense? Okay. That's how they can tell there's traffic on the N1, use this other route. Okay. Right. So with high dimensional data, you know, like your Google Maps, I think that's a good example because we all utilize that. It can be a bit of a problem when we now need to scale this even larger. Okay. Then automating the search. Okay, it's not always easy to automate the search, which can make it difficult. It can become a barrier in discovering knowledge discovery systems. Okay. Because if we can't automate the search, then it's hard for us to retrieve information such that we can pull together all the relevant information that we're trying to look at, and then obviously establish or discover knowledge from that knowledge that we pull. And then finding patterns and models understandable and interesting to users. Okay? If we fail to find patterns and models in our team building exercise that are of interest to you, are you going to engage? Not going to engage. If you don't engage, are we going to discover anything? Are we going to exchange any tacit knowledge that he has through his multiple years of experience? We will. Okay? So that can be a barrier when it comes to knowledge discovery systems. And I think that's it. Oh, guys, the slides don't want to finish. Okay, just give me 2 more minutes and we'll be done here. Novel knowledge discovery on the web. Okay, so knowledge that is surprising and unknown to them, yet interesting and relevant. Okay, right. And then difficult to locate, can be valuable for the discovery of new strategic opportunities, for development of learning capabilities, to support the creative thinking leading to innovation and solving wicked problems. Solving wicked problems. Interesting wording there. Right. So when we talk about novel knowledge discovery on the web, we're talking about knowledge that is surprising and unknown, and yet interesting and relevant. Interesting and relevant. Right, interesting stuff. All right, so that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of your learning unit 3. Okay, so let me switch off the recording here. Remember, I said I just have one or two things I want us to discuss. One or two things I want us to discuss.